Why do we have our mares foal in the pasture and not in the pens? That's today's question on Ag Shorts. First off, it's natural. Horses have been foaling in open plains in wooded areas for thousands of years. Versions of horses were doing the exact same thing. So why wouldn't we continue to do that the way it's supposed to be? Part of that is also, why would you want to keep a horse in a pen? If they're not supposed to be in a pen anyway, why would you want to keep them in a pen unless you're supposed to have them for a very specific reason, right? Normally we'll bring in our livestock to the pens. We've shown that before with cattle during spring storms to make sure that we could easily watch them during that time for calving issues and maybe even trying to save a calf. Oftentimes we only bring animals and livestock into the pens when we need to take care of them for veterinary reasons, administer any sort of welfare such as delousing, deworming, testing for whether or not cows are bred or not, things like that. Of course, then there's branding season. That's a little bit different issue, but those are temporary, and oftentimes we leave our animals in the pens for less than a day. And so that's why we don't really use animals or leave mares in the pens to foal. A lot of people will keep animals in a stall or whatnot to make sure that they can monitor 24/7. I can't be there 24/7. We do it with the calving, but we have so few foals every year. There's no real point in doing that. Let it happen naturally out in the pasture and let the mares take care of it themselves. We have had fatalities in the past, but believe it or not, those have been some very rare issues, and it's typically been when the foals were overly large for whatever reason unknown to us. And because of that, the mare and or the foal sometimes did perish. But again, those are very rare circumstances. And typically being out there is actually, another point, much more hygienic. Being in the pens, you've seen us with calving season. A lot of those times we'll take those navels that have been in the muck and the dirt and the grime and the manure, and we will iodine those navels so that those calves don't get sick or umbilical infections. It's the same premise with foals. We have known people personally that have had issues with foals being born in pens, and they got muck and bacteria in that navel, and they had to swab that navel every single day, multiple times a day, because the veterinarian told them they had to, otherwise that foal was going to die. So the hygiene factor is a huge, possibly life-saving decision that is really important for us to administer here on the Hashknife Ranch, and that's why we do it. When it's natural, just like most creatures, even the cows, they will separate themselves from the herd. They'll go off by themselves. They'll have that foal, and they'll take care of that foal, make sure that foal can get up, stand, walk, eat, and then they'll start moving back towards the herd. They'll start gathering up, but even then, they'll still keep that foal away from other mares, other horses, to protect that foal for a little bit. Now, when we did introduce mares with foals to each other and then mares without foals to the mares with foals during this breeding season, which again, you'll see in a couple weeks, there was a process because those mares do not want their foals being messed with by other mares. Sometimes other mares are mean to them. Occasionally stallions will, just because of their dominance, are trying to make sure that they're maintaining their herd. They will cause injuries, whether intentional or not. They will cause injuries to the foal. So it's important for those mares to take care of that foal, and that's why oftentimes they'll want to be secluded, and being in the pasture does just that. So between hygiene, being natural, a temporary use of pens rather than using them for long term, and then of course letting that mare be secluded when she needs to be secluded, those are the main reasons why we end up foaling in the pasture. So thanks until you're better paid.